It's story time. Honestly, I've been really looking forward to this one. This is the first time I went to a sex club. In October of 2016, I was married, but we decided to open our relationship. I didn't start dating until April. So 6 months later, somebody that I met through a different situation, a different social situation, they had seen me on Tinder and they were like, but it says you're married, what's the sitch? And a couple months later, I met my most recent ex. We will refer to her as GF. And at that point, I was already in the process of getting a divorce, like filing and all that craziness. When the GF and I got together, I was brand new to all of this. And, you know, while I was seeing other people besides her, she had the experience of being open. I felt like I was relying a lot on her to help guide what an open relationship is kind of supposed to look like. And now I'm free to like explore. And I promised myself, because I was a serial monogamist for so long before this, that I am not going to be monogamous. And I am going to find out more about the sexuality of people. For some people, it's their own self-discovery and discovering their bodies, what they like, but I'd already done that. I encourage you all to do the same thing. How I was a stone top and that I prefer no penetration from other people. And I just wanted to figure out all the different stuff that was out there sexually. I feel like I was so closed off for so long. And the GF was a great person for that. I had mentioned, you know, I'd never had a threesome. And GF was like, what? We need to end that. We decided to have this threesome. It was a cool experience. It was my first one, and it wasn't bad for a first threesome. By December, that's 2 months after my first threesome. I mean, come on. Threesome is one of the top fantasies, right? And if you were just the subject of that threesome, and you didn't have to do anything else other than enjoy yourself, November of 2018. So now we're about 2 years since I have been open. I started dating this other person who was offered the co-topping first. Actually, we'll refer to them as Amy. So Amy contacts me and wants to get together, and I offer the co-top, and Amy's down because Amy's a little bit extra kinky. And that plays into it. No judgments, that just plays into the story. In fact, clearly I liked it. In the meantime, I also started dating the other person that ended up coming to the sex club, which was, I'll refer to this person as Kim. So Kim and I started dating a little bit after Amy and I, but the difference was that Kim and I, we hooked up solo. But as we were talking and discussing things, Kim had mentioned the possibility of how nice that co-topping sounded. So I offered it, and the GF and I discussed it, and GF was down. So we had a co-top with Kim as well. And that was 2 weeks after our solo. We're in December of 2018 now, and I'm still interested in trying out some new stuff. Some of those things might include going to a sex club. I had seen Kim once, and we had co-topped with Amy at this point. And Kim and I were chatting and wanting to get to know each other better still. I had mentioned the possibility of wanting to like go to the sex club. Amy invited me to a sex club and said that they were thinking that they were going to go and they would love if I would also go. And I responded with, what about GF? They're like, totally. Like, please bring GF too. So I was like, cool. I'm like, should I invite more people? They're like, if you want to, absolutely. Since I don't know for sure if I'm going to make it, please. Because that's what we do. We just want people to have fun. And I wanted to go with more people I knew so that I felt more comfortable. And Kim and I had great chemistry. So I thought by having GF and Kim there, I mean, I'd already be great. And if Amy showed up, that'd be cool too. I'm still new to poly at this point, or non-monogamy, or whatever you would like to call it. And I'm just trying to figure things out. And I got a little bit over my head inviting so many people, because then Kim asked if they could bring their best friend. And I will refer to the best friend as Ronnie, because Ronnie does come to the sex club as well. So there's 4 of us that are going to this sex club now, a possible 5th person. Talk about hands full. Kim will have Ronnie there if I freak out or whatever. So before we actually go, and I had already been researching like different clubs. I wasn't sure about it, but GF said that they thought it would be okay. And it was, for the most part. I mean, my personal preference might be different, but the club itself was great. Things that if you've never been to a sex club before that you might want to know, even with Storytime, I should talk about the stuff that I learned, and maybe you guys can teach me something as well. There are rules to every sex club. So make sure you check out what those rules are. It's all the way from like clothing style even, to if you have to be a member, what genders are allowed, what nights, things like that, what the rules are in general about what kinds of play you can do there. There are places that have large scene areas. Oh, a scene. A scene is like literally a performance of a sexual act. Another vocabulary word. A lot of these clubs before it will have these things called tasting. And these will have experts at each of these tasting stations. Maybe it's flogging, it's piercing, or it's the cross, or whatever it might be. And those people are there to give instruction, to show you different techniques and things like that so you can get a taste. See if that's something you might like or that you might want to try in playtime. Is obviously when you are ready to join a scene of some sort or be in a scene. Another term that I want to talk about is aftercare. That's giving your partner love, affection, cuddling, reassurance, whatever that might be. It has nothing to do necessarily with just a sex club. You should always do aftercare. Casual or not, aftercare is a thing. I'm a little bit OCD, so like being in a place where I don't necessarily feel comfortable is interesting to me, but that's the point, right? And I wanted to try it out. Okay, so I'm fairly vanilla. What I mean by that is it's not that I can't get down and get kinky, because I can. I feel like a lot of people don't even have great just sex in general. And that's me. I open people's minds up to allow them to get into the space of all the kinkiness that they want. And then on top of that, I have crazy social anxiety. We go pick up Kim and Ronnie because Kim mentioned that they didn't have a car at the time. So I later found out from Kim that inviting Ronnie to come was so that Ronnie and GF could have like a double date is what Kim was thinking it was, so that Kim could have me to herself. You know, if you tell me that, you're more likely to get that than just hoping that that's what's going to happen. Could I have communicated better? You bet. I think I was just so in my head about the whole experience that I just wasn't sure how or what was going to happen. And I didn't want to promise anything. I'm really big about that. I'm really big about trying to set the right expectation. I'm still trying to figure it out. And I don't think I did a very good job during this thing at all. When we get there, so at this particular club, there's not a membership requirement. You can just pay a cover. And this is a queer party. I will say, like, things to know when you go in. Double check the rules there. They're usually posted. Go look around and see what's going on. No phones or cameras are allowed. There's usually like lockers or bins. Bringing your own toys and your own lube and cleaner, any safer sex things that you might need. I would recommend bringing it. Do they have that stuff there? Yes, some of it, and come prepared. So we get there and I am like glued to the girlfriend, right? Because I don't know what's going on, and they're the tour guide for me. There's the tastings going on, so I'm watching them. There's a spanking tasting. But then somebody came over fairly close to us, and they were being pierced, and I was out. I am not yucking piercing. For all of you who are into it, by all means, please. It just is not my thing. So the GF stayed, and I went and found Kim and Ronnie, and they happened to be in the littles room. and also an aftercare. So there's like beds and like just chill atmosphere in that room. And they're in there playing Candyland. I go in there and I lay next to Kim. We're like laying on our stomachs and we're flirting and, you know. And then GF comes in and we're kind of all flirting. And then I get a text. Amy showed up. This is me being self-critical here, but I'm very neurotic, especially when I'm anxious and like... So when Amy texted, I was like, oh my God, I have to get out there now because they're here. And I'm not very good with that. And I tend to come off cold to the people I'm with because I'm even learned since then how to calm that more, but it still happens. I don't even say anything to GF. I just get up and like go out there to find Amy. And when I see Amy, we just start kissing. And I grabbed the GF. There was this room. It was basically a bedroom, but it didn't have a door on it. In most clubs, there's usually like a time limit for a scene, 30 minutes to an hour. That's just to be respectful of that particular space in case somebody's waiting for it or would like to use it. We were all making out. I get a little bit undressed and Amy gets a little undressed and the GF is holding from behind, holding Amy while I'm doing things to Amy. You know what I mean. So anyway, I'm fucking Amy and Amy is very loud. I loved it. The fact that Amy was screaming like that, and I was responsible for that. So everybody in that club heard that screaming. So while I'm fucking Amy, I start to notice that there's blood, and I'm like, oh no, I hurt her. Amy, you're bleeding. And they were like, oh yeah, I might have started my period. And I was like, oh no. Because I'm not a blood player, not casually anyway. I don't, and that includes menstrual. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Let me get something to help clean up. I'm in a sex club. I don't know where the towels are. I don't know where anything is. That's why I recommend taking a lap. Now, when I tell you what happened next here, so now I'm like, you wait here. I'll go get you a towel. I have no shirt on, out of bra on. I had blood on my wrists, and I don't know where any of the towels are. Looking around, and I don't see anything. So all I know to do is go to the front desk. Is on the opposite side of the club. So this is dead. I'm walking through the club quickly. I go to the front desk. The front desk is like, oh, honey. I was like, I know. Where's the towels? And they're like, oh, they're back there. You know where he pointed? The door that I just walked out of. If I had turned right, 4 feet away were the towels. He's like, but sweetheart, there's a bathroom right there. You might want to go wash up first. And I was like, thank you. So anyway, I clean up as quickly as I can. I get down there to get the towel. That's where all the fresh linens were, so I can make sure I made that room completely fresh and clean. And then I went in and I helped clean them up. We kind of said our goodbyes and made out some more and talked about hooking up again later. Yeah, so that was kind of it. But now, not only am I anxious, but now I'm stressed out because that just happened. And I was embarrassed because I'm super modest, you guys. So needless to say, after that, I was feeling a little twisted. And I figured Kim and Ronnie were going to go out and do something. I asked them how they were getting home, if they, like, what the situation was, because I just wanted to go home. When I said that, I saw Kim's face and knew that they were expecting me to take them home. So I'm like, oh, you know what, I got you. I took them home and I went home and I talked to the GF about it. I think that I was just kind of in over my head. I already had the GF there and they were my guide in the first place. That probably would have been a better idea, at least for my first time. But I have seen both Amy and Kim after that. You know, so we worked it out. We figured it out from there, what happened, and that it was definitely chalked up to just being an awkward, open relationship situation with people who weren't necessarily as experienced at this as we are now. Would I go to a sex club again? I think so. I just think I'd rather go to a different one, have a different kind of experience. We'll see. Hey, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.